Good afternoon and welcome to BizTech Asian Midday Market Watch. I'm Samantha Voon, and let's start by taking a look at the market's summary action today. So over in the US, stock index futures fell during Asian trading hours ahead of the Fed's rate decision tomorrow. Additionally, the market's focus was on upcoming earnings reports from major tech companies like Microsoft and Apple. So most Asian stocks declined today, reversing gains from the previous sessions as market sentiments was cautious ahead of the upcoming interest rate decision by Bank of Japan as well as the Fed. Regional markets took mixed cues from Wall Street, which closed flat yesterday due to investors' concerns surrounding the central bank meetings. Over in China, the markets are still underperforming, with key benchmarks hitting 6 months low, with ongoing concerns about a slowing economic recovery. The Shanghai Composite is down 0.56%, hitting their lowest level since early February. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng fell 1.03%, dropping to its 3 months low. So market sentiment was also affected by uncertainties related to the US presidential race and its potential impacts on US-China trade relations. So this week, key focus is on purchasing managers index PMI readings from China, which are expected to provide further insights into the economic outlook. Over in Australia, the ASX is down 0.61% ahead of a key consumer price index CPI inflation reading for the second quarter. Their monthly CPI indicators suggest a strong reading, which could prompt the Reserve Bank of Australia, the RBA, to maintain high interest rates or even consider further hikes. Over in India, the Nifty 50 is up 0.19%. In Singapore, the STI is up 0.12%. In Kuala Lumpur, it is down 0.09%. So over in Japan, the Nikkei 225 is down 0.25%, and it has dropped due to uncertainties around the Bank of Japan's upcoming rate decision. Analysts were divided on the possibility of a rate hike by the BOJ, despite recent positive inflation data. However, underlying inflation remained below the BOJ's 2% annual target. Additionally, there was uncertainties over the BOJ's plans to taper its quantitative easing programs, which could reduce support for Japanese stock markets. Over in South Korea, the Kospi is down 1.03%. And overall, the broader Asian markets retreated, particularly tech stocks, ahead of the earning reports from major US tech companies, like I mentioned earlier, Microsoft, Apple, as well as Meta and Amazon later this week. That's all I have for today's market updates. And to give insights, we have brought here Gabriel Yap, Executive Chairman of GCP Global. Gabriel, welcome to the show.
My pleasure, Samantha.
All right. So, with all that's happening, Gabriel, maybe we can talk about the recent results of some of the sectors as well as the implications of it. Yeah. So let's start with REITs. What do you have for REITs? What's
Well, I think the
happening
turning
there?
point for REITs, Samantha's probably seen the week before when it's indicated that essentially from the dot plot, the likelihood of a September cut is very much in place. And essentially the PCE core number, which is the core data that actually the Federal Reserve relies on to actually gauge its inflationary expectations, is actually came in line. It's actually the first fall, since quite some time, and effectively is pointing out for a September cut. And that's why you're looking at traders putting at 96% cut, coming through in September. So that actually bodes well for REITs because REITs have been suffering for the last 2.5 years since interest rates was actually first increased on 17th of March to 0.22. So I think you are looking possibly at the turning point for REITs. So that's looking good in that perspective. And in the last 2 weeks henceforth, you can see some of the share prices of the key REITs in Singapore has actually performed along that particular trend that I've actually just shared.
Mhm. Well, that's good news for REITs. Yeah. So how about the luxury global luxury brands like
Right.
Hermes, LVMH?
Right. That actually began last week, when you actually saw the results from Burberry and Hugo Boss coming below expectations. The indication going forward, among Burberry as well as Hugo Boss was actually the key markets, basically China, is weak. And then towards the end of the week, you saw essentially LVMH coming in with results that was only 1% above increment last week. Um, Last year rather. But if you actually do an incisive cut into its results, as you know, LVMH actually operates five various segments, and across all the five segments, basically from wine to leather goods to fragrances to select retailing, which includes Sephora, you notice essentially one key message is that the key market, that's China, is still weak. But in all perspective, if you look properly, I think LVMH is guiding for the fact that this weakness will last to the end of this year. Come to 025, there's a possibility of a turnaround. And before the week was out, actually Hermes reported, and guess what? Hermes, true to its name, has outperformed again. Meaning that irrespective of China, irrespective of essentially weaker consumer spending across the world, practically, Hermes still delivered 15% above market expectations. So, it's basically pointing out to a continual diagrammatically opposed sector within the luxury sector.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's lovely. So how about pharma? Would love to get your insights on that as well.
Right. If you've seen some of the results so far, Samantha, you will notice that essentially the companies that are doing or have done very well, that's Novo Nordisk as well as actually Eli Lilly, which have actually relied and ride on the diabetes 2 as well as weight loss drugs, actually taking and experiencing some profit taking because the likes of Roche Holdings, that's listed in the Switzerland, as well as basically the likes of Pfizer, which are possibly getting competitive drugs on the weight loss aspect is coming up. More importantly, the next pillar where most of the pharmaceutical companies like GSK, AstraZeneca will be competing is what we call the oncological drugs. That's basically relating to cancer. I think many of them actually have, drug uh, market beating drugs that's going to come to the market. And these are the ones that's going to actually at least rip in about 5 billion in terms of returns, in terms of revenue. And that's structurally very exciting for the pharmaceutical sector.
Mhm, mhm. Lastly, we have time to touch on commodities as well. We'll love your insight on that, Gabriel.
Right. The key markets that we cover are actually the covers from palladium, platinum, gold, silver, copper. But I think essentially what's interesting to be looking at, is in the last 1 month alone, copper has actually fallen from 4,000, uh, 480 per metric ton, to something like rather uh, per ounce to below 10,000, per metric ton. So right now, copper is doing at 9,001. This actually ameliorates and actually extricate most of the analyst forecasts, which basically pinpointed to copper, continue to going up in March and May. You will notice, and you actually take a step back with Samantha, you notice that copper actually raised from 8,000 per metric tons, to 10,000. And when it broke 10,000 in May, everybody was saying this all hell break loose. At GCP Global, we tell them that, hey, when it all hell break loose, rein in your bull horns, rein in. And this is time to be careful. And right now, you can see what has panned out correctly. Copper is actually doing a price correction. I think it will go below the 9,000. I think the key thing is that actually undermining the fact is that some of the key statistics from China in terms of the need for copper and the refining copper needs are actually not as bullish as was originally expected. So watch the figures. Don't go with the investment and as well as the sentiment. So when it comes to commodities, light stocks, everything boils down to the data and proper analysis of the data, which is what we do at GCP Global.
Mm-hmm. All right, amazing. So thank you so much, Gabriel, for all of your insights.
My pleasure, Samantha. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too. So we've been speaking to Gabriel Yap, Executive Chairman of GCP Global. This has been BizTech Asian Midday Market Watch. I'm Samantha Voon, and remember to keep informed on the latest market updates weekdays at 1 p.m. This video and podcast will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our social media platform. It will also be on our syndications partners' TV stations, radio stations, and website. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.